This is Movietone. Leslie Mitchell reporting. When the Empress of Russia and the other ships arrived at the Swedish port of Gothenburg to play their part in the first big exchange of prisoners of war, 4 years of war had passed. 4 years in which defeats and defense had grimly swung over to victories and attack. Many of the prisoners had been captive for most of that time. How could any of us who have not been through such an experience hope to gauge their feelings now? The Atlantis was another of the ships, and it was after her arrival that the first of some 800 Germans, many more went home through Oran, were to be seen on their way back to their country. Every single one of them could speak of the first-class care and treatment they'd received at British hands. The Swedish ship Drottningholm was to bring back home to Britain part of the total of over 5,000 being repatriated. And you can bet your life they intended to reach home looking as smart as they could make themselves. They meant to come home with their boots clean, and they did. The Crown Princess of Sweden, a sister of Lord Louis Mountbatten, was down at the docks to talk to the boys and to see for herself that everything possible had been done for their comfort. Incidentally, our heartfelt thanks are due to Sweden for the vital part played by that country in the organization of the exchange. On their way home at last, men, most of them wounded, who had fought in France or Belgium, in the desert, in Crete or in Greece, on land, at sea, in the air, they've been waiting for years for just this moment. Whether from the United Kingdom or from overseas, their faith in the land of their birth, their belief in ultimate victory had never wavered. The Empress of Russia arrives at Leith, where nearly 4,000 of the men landed. Now they were home. Home in Britain anyway. They came ashore in tenders. This was the moment. After years of prison camps, what can it feel like to set foot in the homeland once again? There was a message from the King and Queen, a message of welcome read to them by General Sir Ronald Adam, Adjutant General to the forces, a message emphasizing that they had never been out of our thoughts and that they would never be forgotten. Sir William Darling, the Lord Provost of Edinburgh, also bid them welcome and made them laugh.
You're going to land. Those of you who are Scotsmen will appreciate very much how warm the welcome we want to give you. But those of you who are not Scotsmen, those of you who are less fortunate...
Then Jack Cotter, one of Movietone's cameramen, got loose among them with a microphone. You could ask them anything. They didn't mind.
What were your impressions of the camp you're in? Which camp were you in, by the way?
Stalag 20B.
What was it?
Stalag 20B.
Stalag 20B. Did they look after you, all right?
Not too good.
You don't, I mean, you didn't want to stay there?
No.
You must soon come back?
Yes.
That's the idea. And did you get your Red Cross stuff all right?
Yes, thank you.
That's fine. Now then, you're a Scotsman, aren't you?
No, I'm a Geordie.
A Geordie? Well, that's from Newcastle.
That's right.
Yes. Well, anyway, you're glad to be back, I take it?
Yes, very much so.
Yes. How long have you been a prisoner?
3.5 years.
3.5 years. You're catching France, eh?
Paris.
At Arras? No, I was in Arras. But I was more lucky
So
than
was
you.
I. I was glad to get out of it, too.
Yes. What did you think of Germany?
Not much.
You didn't? Well, yes. What did they send you in the parcels?
Well, enough food, I should say, to last you a week. Had it not been for the parcels, I'm afraid the casualty list would have been far higher than what it is today.
It would have been, yes.
Yes.
Well, that's a very nice thing to know, and I'm sure everybody's very grateful to the Red Cross for that.
The Atlantis at Liverpool with more of the men. A number of this section of the repatriated prisoners were the most serious casualties of them all. But you wouldn't have guessed that from the sounds that came across the water as the ship came slowly alongside. Among those that landed from the Atlantis were men unable to see the Britain they were coming home to. Others couldn't walk, but they could still smile with the joy of returning. Others who had lost limbs managed to get along by themselves, and they too left no doubt as to how they felt about this great day. Though it was impossible for relatives to be there to meet them, all of them have since gone home or to hospitals near their homes. And the end of the journey, the train. Watch them as they look out of the windows and see Britain's countryside again. We don't need to have much imagination to get somewhere near their feelings. At a convalescent depot near London, some 500 ex-prisoners of war saw their first real show for 3 years or more. Tommy Trinder soon discovered that not even years of captivity can dull a sense of humour.
I went up in these military affairs, yeah. I've had my medical, grade 8. I don't know if I'm a man or a bottle of milk. Well, anyway, I stood in front of the doctor with no clothes on. He took one look at me and said, "This is no time for fooling. Go home and get your body." She came from a very nice family. Her father was a gentleman farmer, used to milk cows with gloves on. And you know, he was dead unlucky. He bought a prize bull, 1,000 guineas. Put it in the field and it fell in love with a cow in the next field. Jumped a barbed wire fence, it didn't jump high enough, he sold it for a tenner.
4 years ago, they sang this on their way to France. We must not forget. This is Movietone.